Hello everyone, this is Chelsea from Those with Words. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm here to share with you a video about my current fountain pen collection. I have a few fountain pens, as you can see here, that I keep in this drawer, and this is actually pulled out from an 8-pen case by Toyooka Craft, which I purchased from San Francisco Pen Show a couple of years ago. And I just store my fountain pens here, as well as in this plotter pen case, and a couple other ones in a Superior Labor pouch. So I'll get into this one a little bit later, but for right now I'm just gonna go through my pens in my collection one by one, talk about when I purchased them, and just my general experience with each and every one of them. Just one quick disclaimer though before I get started on this video. I do want to note that I am just an enthusiastic fountain pen user. I am not necessarily an expert on the types of nibs and writing styles and all of those things, or even some of the brands. There are so many wonderful brands that make great fountain pens. And so just wanted to put that out there before I really dive into this video. The first pen I want to show you, I'm just going to start with TWSBI. This is a TWSBI Eco Heat in the fine nib, and I purchased this in June of 2023 and I ordered it online. I actually really like this color, which is like a really pretty orange color. And I thought it actually paired nicely with this silver colored hardware. And as I mentioned, this is in the fine nib, so it writes really well. And I don't know, I just like TWSBI Ecos as pens. They are very reliable, and I haven't particularly had any huge issues with them. I did have a rose gold smoke TWSBI before that I couldn't get out a funny ink smell out of from the barrel, so I did decide to part with that one permanently, but the one that I have now and this other one that I'm about to show you, I never really had issues with. So this is something that reminded me of the color of cure or tangerines or cuties. And I grew up eating them during my childhood in Korea, and this color really reminded me of that. So I decided to get this pen and I've been really enjoying it. I have not inked this in a little bit and I might come back to it. So far, or as of right now, the only pens that are inked are in here, and I only have 2 fountain pens inked at the moment. So this one is taking a little bit of a break, but again, really enjoy this one and really awesome color that I like. The next one on my list is another TWSBI. This is the second TWSBI in my collection of the 2 that I have, and this is the TWSBI Eco Creme Rose Gold in the extra fine. I purchased this pen in December of 2023, so I've only had this pen for about 5 months as of me recording this video. I also ordered this pen online. As I mentioned before, I did have a rose gold TWSBI prior to this, which was the smoke rose gold, but this was kind of the replacement for it. And I have inked it once and used it before cleaning it out. And I just really love how this cream color is like a true cream. It's hard to explain. When they first released this pen, I was a little worried that the cream would be too warm or too cold in terms of the color tone, but I'm really happy with the way that they executed this color. It's truly what I personally think of when I think of a cream color, and I think it looks really, really nice with the rose gold hardware. And this is definitely like an everyday writer for me. In terms of fountain pens, that's typically what I tend to go for, is just everyday writers. And this is a wonderful one, and the nib in the EF is very suitable for my everyday writing. I do tend to have smaller handwriting, so this is really helpful for me. So yeah, again, not inked right now, but I will most likely come back to this pretty soon. The next brand that I want to talk about is Sailor, and I have a few pens from them as well. The first one I actually have inked, and this is the Nagasawa Onomatopoeia Pro Gear Slim, and this is in the color Kasha Kasha or gray. And this is in the medium nib. I purchased this pen in August of 2022 at the San Francisco Pen Show, and this is my very first Sailor ever. I remember being rather surprised at the price. I think I purchased this for somewhere around $200 USD, and it comes with the classic Nagasawa fountain pen ink bottle finial, and also the branding right here as well that says Nagasawa. Hopefully you're able to see that on close up. And it has the signature chicken nib. So this one right now is inked with Pelikan Rose Quartz, which was the ink that was given out at Pelikan Hub last year in 2023. And I don't know if you can see, but it's got subtle sparkles on the pen, which I really like and I think is really beautiful. And I think it gives this gray pen a little extra touch. And this was the color that I fell in love with in that Onomatopoeia collection. There were a couple different colors, but this is the one that really called out to me. So that was my first ever Sailor pen related purchase at the pen show, and I still use it. As you can see, it's currently inked right now, and I really love it. It's a great writer. I have come to discover that I really like the medium nib in my Sailor pens, so you'll continue to see that trend as I continue to discuss my Sailor pens, but this is one I really love and one that is extra special for me because I ran across it at a pen show in person, and it was also my first of the Sailor brand pens. This is the second Sailor pen that I purchased. This is also a Nagasawa pen, but it has a slightly different finial for this specific one. This is the Nagasawa Chaska Green Pro Gear Slim Mini, also in the medium nib, and I purchased this in March of 2023 when I had a chance to visit Nagasawa in Japan, in Osaka. I remember making a rather hectic walk to the Nagasawa store with our luggage right outside of the station. We were just walking over and trying to find it, and it was definitely a busy walk, but I got this gorgeous pen alongside the ink that it comes with, which is like this really beautiful dark green ink. So I would say the walk was very much worth it. This also has the same nib, 14K, but it has a golden color to it. And it doesn't have, it's one of the more recent, or I should say, I think all Pro Gear Slim Minis don't have any areas or marks in the back for you to latch on the I think it's called threading, actually. Yes, it doesn't have any threading on the back for you to post your pen or the cap. So you just have to kind of push into the pen to post. I find that I rarely have to post this pen. My hands aren't too big, so I think it's okay for me to just leave it unposted most of the time when I'm writing with it. And I haven't inked this pen up in quite some time, but I will probably come back to it like most of the pens that I'm showing you here. And I really, really love the combination of these two slightly different greens on the pen cap and body. And I think it's a really pretty one with this sort of gold hardware color. So I really, really love this one, and it's definitely a special purchase that commemorates my trip to Japan last year. And my last Sailor pen in my possession is this Yoseka Home Pro Gear, also in the medium nib. So apparently all of the Sailor pens I have are in the medium nib. And this was purchased in September of 2023, and it was ordered through Yoseka stationery, obviously. And this is my first ever Pro Gear. I have never had a Pro Gear before, meaning this 21K nib, and it's larger as well than the Pro Gear Slim nibs. This is completely new to me, and I love that for this particular pen, both the gold and silver tones are present in this nib. I think it's so pretty. It writes like a dream, and I love so many things about this pen, including the color scheme and the design and everything about it. And the finial here is that special one as well. And the hardware is like this brighter gold. So if you compare it to this Nagasawa Chaska Mini, you can tell that the Yoseka home pen has a brighter yellow gold hardware. And I actually really like that, so that's a huge plus for me. Plus the ends are this really cute olive color and it's transparent. And I just think there's something so unique about this pen and its design. As you can see, the cap is sparkly as well. And it's just everything about this pen. When it first came out for pre-order, I thought to myself, this pen is really my color scheme. And I remember a couple of my friends reaching out to me and saying the same thing as well. So this is, again, my only Pro Gear in my collection. So it is slightly thicker than the Pro Gear Slim and has a great writing experience. Again, writes like a dream. I really, really love this pen. And until just recently, I had it inked with like a beige ink, but right now it is taking a little break. But yeah, something that is really special to me. I have not had a chance to purchase another Pro Gear since then. This was definitely an investment for me, and the Pro Gear price point is something that I'm still getting used to. So I don't have any other ones, but I do understand why people say that there is a difference between a Pro Gear versus a Pro Gear Slim, and why some people might prefer one over the other. I happen to like both. I don't have a huge personal preference on which one, but again, really, really lovely pen and one that I was very happy to be able to add to my collection. Moving on to Franklin-Christoph. I have two Model 20s from them. This is the first one, and this is in the needlepoint nib, and I got this in August of 2021 at the SF Pen Show. And I don't know if you can see just how fine the nib is there, but it writes so tiny. I am always amazed at how fine the nibs can get. And I remember when I was at the pen show, a really kind staff member from Franklin-Christoph helped me find like the perfect needlepoint nib. So the first one that was on this pen, I didn't quite love. I feel like it wasn't fine enough for my own expectations of what a needlepoint nib should do. And so I went back and very shyly asked about, a change or an update. And they were able to find one that was not only finer, but they made sure to take a look and adjust it for me so that it would still write really smoothly. So amazing customer experience with Franklin-Christoph personally. And it came with a little silver clip, which I really like. This design with the white and this really interesting sort of blended tip color or finial color. Reminded me of Korean pottery in a way. I know it's not necessarily related and probably not intended when designing this pen, but it really reminded me of that. And then when you open the pen, the piece right here has a really similar color approach as well. So I really fell in love with this pen at first sight, and that's why I purchased it at the pen show. This one has taken a little bit longer of a break because I'm using the other Model 20 that I have right now, but this is, it has a really special place in my heart. It was one of those few pens that I took a look at it and just kind of instantly fell in love with it. And I still really like it very much. It's a really cute, nice pocket size. And I mean, this goes without saying, but it can be easily posted. Sometimes I do post this pen, funnily enough. I don't really post this one. This is the Nagasawa Pro Gear Slim Mini. And when closed, I would say it's about the same size, or actually even a little bit bigger. Yeah, it is a little bit longer, the Model 20. But for some reason, I have posted this one before on a more regular basis. I'm not really sure why I prefer it that way. Maybe it's just the way it feels in my hand. But yeah, I really like this pen as well. I mean, I'm going to say that about pretty much every pen in my current collection. I really do love them all. But yeah, this has a special memory associated with it for sure. The other Model 20 I have from Franklin-Christoph. It is currently inked. And it's inked with the Sailor Manyo Haha ink. And it's this really sort of galaxy themed one, or at least it reminds me of like a galaxy. It's very sparkly and it actually doesn't have a clip. And this is one that I purchased in 2023, August, also at the SF Pen Show, but 2 years later than when I purchased this one. And this one doesn't have, a lot of variance in the body color. It's just the same sort of galaxy theme or night sky sort of theme. It's very sparkly and dark, and I find it really, really pretty. And I forgot to mention, the nib here is the Stub Italic Gradient, or the SIG, which is signature to Franklin-Christoph, and it's in the fine. So the SIG nib comes in different thicknesses, and the one I have is a SIG F. And I got to try all the nibs before deciding on which one. One of the things I really like about Franklin-Christoph is they have so many different and interesting nibs that you can pair with their pen bodies, and they usually have the testers out so you can write with every single one. So I was trying to decide between a SIG Fine and a SIG Medium, and eventually went with the SIG Fine. And it writes like a dream, and I really like the combination that I have in here with the Sailor Manyo Haha. Even though the Haha ink is a lighter color and, this is a very dark glittery pen, something about that sort of bluish, purplish ink coming out of this pen just feels really right to me. So I have been enjoying writing with it. I've been writing in my health journal with this, which is in the Hobonichi Weeks, with wonderful Tomoe River paper. So it's been a great experience, and yeah, really, really enjoy this one as well. And then this pen is the only platinum pen that I have. This is the Platinum 3776 in Laurel Green, and this is in the medium nib. I'm finding that I have a lot of medium nibs in my collection, actually. This came to me in May of 2023, so this was a bit of an interesting experience. So I used to have a 3776 in black in the broad nib, and I actually exchanged that pen with Simone, who is on Instagram as well as here on YouTube. And I did an exchange because Simone was looking for someone to exchange this medium nib for a broad nib. And I said, hey, I know it's not the same color, but I do have a black 3776 in broad. Would you like to exchange it, send it to each other, see if we like each other's nibs better, or in my case, a medium nib, and for Simone, a broad nib. And we did the exchange, decided that we loved it, and we just kept the pens. So that is how it went. And since then, I had this ground, the nib, to a cursive italic nib. And I got that done at the SF Pen Show in 2023, so last year, and I worked with Kirk Spear of Pen Realm. And he just very quickly ground this into a cursive italic nib grind. I should also note that, the way I usually write is pretty standard at like a 45-degree angle, and I don't really have a lot of particular habits when I write or anything like that. So I was pretty much able to just get Penrealm's standard cursive italic nib grind, and it worked perfectly fine for me. He was very attentive and he wanted to make sure that, are you sure? Are you comfortable? Do you want to adjust anything? But after it was said and done in like 10-15 minutes, I was like, it seems to work well for me. I don't really think I need any adjustments. So I am very happy with the way that my experience with the 3776 turned out. Not that I disliked the broad nib, but because my handwriting is on the smaller side, as I previously mentioned, the broad nib was just like a little too thick for me to use as an everyday writer. And typically for fountain pens, I like to use them as everyday writers the most. So I found that I just wasn't using my 3776 a lot, which made me a little bit sad because I really love how this pen feels in my hand. It feels a little more substantial and larger, but for some reason, for longer writing sessions, I find that really comfortable. And so it made me sad that I wasn't using it to its full potential. So when this exchange opportunity came up, I took it, and now it has a special nib on top of that, or a nib grind, I should say, and I really like it. I was just recently using this pen before I inked up the 2 pens in this pen case, and I am sure I will come back to it. I like the writing experience of all of the pens I have, I should say, so any of these pens I'd be happy to ink up and use anytime as an everyday writer, and obviously this one is no exception to that. Really love the color as well. And apart from these, so the ones I keep in the Toyooka Craft pen storage and the plotter pen case, I also have this Superior Labor pen case. This one is the particular collaboration with the Stationery Selection. And I have a bunch of things in here, various, ballpoint pens and apparently a ruler and all of those things. I reorganized this to be sort of like a little archive pen case. And so it serves as like an archive of all of the different pens and other materials that I might not be reaching for right now, but I will probably come back to at a later date. And that includes a bunch of these beginner-friendly fountain pens. So I think this is a Fonte pen, and you can use it with a cartridge, but it's empty right now. So that's one of them. I actually have this pen, which I have never inked since I brought it back. I should really use this one. This is the Ancora custom pen. And you can go to the Sailor Ancora store in Tokyo, and you can pick out every part of this pen to your liking. So all the colors, so these colors I picked on my own, the hardware, the nib color, although I think the nib itself is fixed to a medium fine. And over here, like all the different color combinations that you can create to make your own unique pen. And I really love this pen, but I just haven't used it yet. So that's definitely something that I want to come back to. I have a Preppy in here as well. Good old Preppy. And this is in the 02 or extra fine. And I don't know that I've used this one, but I know for sure that I have used this Preppy, which is in the 03. And yeah, you can see the empty ink cartridge in there because I've used it before. It writes really easily. It caps with a snap, so it's really secure. For an entry-level pen, I highly recommend the Preppy. It's just really easy. It has a clip, it's sturdy, and it writes well. So I like these, just haven't used them in a while. And then I think I also have, here's another Preppy. This is, I think, like a special edition, and it has cherry blossoms on it. I have also definitely used this one, and it also has an empty ink cartridge inside. And I'm looking for my Kakuno, my Pilot Kakuno. here it is. So I have a clear Pilot Kakuno, and this is another beginner-friendly fountain pen. And the unique thing about Kakunos is that there is a cute smiley face on the nib. And I have it in the fine nib. I think most of these are medium fine to fine nibs, if I remember correctly. And I don't have a cartridge in it right now, but this is also a pen that I used plenty of times before and really enjoyed for the price point and everything. I feel like this is a great investment if you are starting out with fountain pens. And I think the last one I have in here is a Pilot Metropolitan, and this was actually my first fountain pen purchase ever. So this is in the fine nib, and I had never bought fountain pens before this one. And I will say that maybe I should have ventured out a little bit more in terms of like color, because when I bought these like clear demonstrator pens, I enjoy them a little bit more, even though the Kakuno and the Metropolitan are both beginner-friendly pens, and one could very much argue that the Metropolitan, just from the looks of it and the way it's made, is nicer than the Kakuno in many ways, like in the pen body and everything. But I just didn't really take to this pen, and I thought because of that, fountain pens weren't really for me. But I mean, as you can see with my current collection, I do really enjoy fountain pens, but I think maybe my first impression with that standard color scheme and black ink was maybe not the most enticing to me at the time. This was a long time ago as well. So I still have it with me because it was my first ever fountain pen, and it holds a special place in my heart in that regard, but I honestly haven't really come back to using that one in particular. So those are sort of all of the other beginner-friendly pens that I have and have not used, like the Ancora one, which I hope to use fairly soon. So those are all of my current fountain pens, both being used and unused. Let me take out the two that are inked right now. This is just a ballpoint from Uni Jetstream. It's the Hobonichi one. But these are all of my pens, and these two in the middle are the ones that are inked. And I have more in here, but yeah, that's just gonna sit off to the side. So that is my entire fountain pen collection. I know I don't have the smallest or the biggest collection, but I really do enjoy each and every one of these pens that I have, and I really like the writing experience of each and every individual pen. I hope to in the future maybe branch out a little bit more into other nibs. Now that I've actually put everything together and shown you one by one, I have a tendency to go for extra fine, fine, and medium nibs, which is great. Again, I use them mostly for everyday writing, so those suit me perfectly fine. But I do want to branch out a little bit in the future and try different kinds of nibs. I know there's a whole other world out there. So that's something that now that I'm kind of reminding myself to do, because I'm looking at all of my pens and realizing that I really like a very specific writing experience. There's nothing wrong with that, of course, but yeah, just kind of exploring uncharted waters, if you will, with fountain pen nibs in the future. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed going through my fountain pen collection with me, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye.